So, hi, my name is Keith Gelhorn. I am the founder and chief empowerment officer of ADDvocacy. And what we do is we coach neurodivergent youth and adults who live with ADHD, learning disabilities, autism, anxiety, and any kind of co-occurring mental health challenge that impacts executive functioning. Our clients are students. Currently, they're students who are in high school, and then we've got a post-secondary transition program. And then we do a lot around post-secondary students. Just point of reference, if you know any post-secondary students who self-identify as neurodivergent and are registered as students with permanent disabilities, as of August 1st, ADDvocacy now has 100% funding for all of our clients. So get a hold of us and book that. Get you in. Just put in two new people this morning, as a matter of fact. And then once people are transitioning out of post-secondary, so we go right from community college all the way up through PhD level. As people are coming out of school, we transition them into career transition coaching. So we work fairly closely with Nova Scotia Works. So if you can't afford it, it's never guaranteed, but there's often funding available. So for anybody who's unemployed, underemployed, in a job that's not going where they want it to go, and or an entrepreneur, again, it's all definitely case by case basis and depending on a lot of different factors, but it's an option. So today we're going to be talking about just productivity hacks. This is meant to be very much conversational because everybody has different stuff that works for them. I've got my system. I guarantee everybody in here has their system or have tried a million different systems. So we shall be talking about that. We're just going to talk about anything that comes up. So this is just full-blown Q&A. Ask me whatever you want. We're just going to talk about some productivity hacks and how we go about it. So I'll start with just kind of some basic tools that I use on my everyday. So first thing, most important thing, being successful with ADHD is developing some sort of schedule and routine for yourself, which is also the most impossible thing for us to do by ourselves for the most part. So how I came up with this is I wrote an article, actually. I'll post in the chat here in a minute, but I wrote an article for Attitude magazine. If you've never heard of it, they're the biggest ADHD magazine out there. Anyways, it was basically called how I based my time in 15-minute increments or less. So basically, when I think back to the time when I was a kid, and I think about grade 3, right? So in grade 3, my alarm clock was my mother. And so she would get me up first thing in the morning. She'd tell me what to do, go in, brush your teeth, use the bathroom, have a shower, put on these clothes that I've got prepared for you in advance, eat breakfast that's prepared in advance, go off to school. And all I cared about was recess, lunch and recess, come home, play outside for 2 hours, eat dinner, watch Littlest Hobo, go to bed, right? And I do it same thing all day, every day, repeat. And then in my teenage years, when my mom was trying to keep me on track, I basically said, no thanks, right? I don't need your help. I don't need anybody's help. And that's when my oppositional defiant disorder kicked into full gear, probably more so around grade 6, if I'm going to be honest. That's when I was put into French immersion, and all my report cards were like, if Keith actually spoke French, you might have a chance. But anyways, I went into, I did my thing, and I went and, basically just said, I don't want structure and routine. I'm going to do whatever the heck I want. And what do you think happened? I went from being like a really good student with mommy's help to brutal, if not non-existent. So I spent most of my time shoplifting, trying to run away from home, telling my parents to beat it and how to get there, and skipping school and all I got to say is thank God there's no cell phones around when I was back in the day, because I would have been the degenerate showing up on every single Karen post there is right now, or road rage or what have you. So long story short, I left high school with no structure routine. I went off to college with no structure and routine, and I imploded in college because I had no structure routine. So it took me 5 years to get through 2 years worth of classes. At the end of the 5 years, I had like a 70% average sort of. The only thing that saved me was anything in psychology and sociology that I liked. Everything else was just like mediocre. And then I had a guy basically told me that when I tried to get into School of Social Work when I was 24, he said, there's no way you're going to succeed in academia. Go get a trade. That plumbers make good money. And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll go do that. Then I went off into plumbing. Still no executive function skills. So I ran into immediate issues there in toolbox meetings where people were giving verbal instructions in the morning. I'd never write anything down. So instead, I just get pissed off at whoever happened to be near me during the course of the day, for them not writing stuff down and not paying attention to what people said. So it wasn't until I went back to school when I was like 36, I went to NSCC, and same deal, went in like most students. I'm like, this year's going to be different. I got my agenda. I got all my binders and the whole bit. And within 2 weeks, I left the wrong binder at home. All my homework was in it for the day, and it legit was. Most of the time, my homework was in my binder, just never bothered to hand it in or do anything with it. So after that happened, instead of getting pissed off, which I felt like it, I felt it brewing, percolating within me. I just started scanning the room. So I scanned the room and I was like, okay, who's the most organized person in this room? Beelined it up to the front corner, and there was an 18-year-old sitting there from River John, fresh out of high school, first person in her family to go to college too. And I beeline over to her, and she's got like one binder with a heavy duty dividers, then a heavy duty sheet protector. So that's where she put her course outlines, or basically the plan for the whole year, right? Behind that was all her notes. And then she had, at the time, she also had this color-coded paper. So the paper actually had color on the side of it. I actually bought the last box of it known to existence like 10 years ago. I still have a couple. But anyways, so that, and then she had her passion planner, and all of that was perfectly color-coded. So basically how she had it laid out was she had, when she was going to sleep, when she was waking up, how much time she needed to get out of the house. All of her classes were in there, all color coded up. And then all her extracurricular stuff was in another one. So appointments was in a different color, but she had it all figured out. And then right around 6 o'clock or so, there was nothing else that she kept in there. And at night was more mapped out on, social stuff, right? Going out with her friends or doing whatever. And I said, that's mint, right? So right around the same time, I came up with this analogy. So for being successful at school, because I came back again late in life, I was like, treat your teacher like they're your boss, your grades like they're your paycheck, and school like it's a 9-to-5 job, and you'll be successful all day long. Drop one of those three things and you'll be screwed, right? So that 9-to-5 job mentality really worked for me. So I looked at a school schedule, and I still do it to this day, where you start school around 8:30. And if you think about like an 8:30 to 5 or 5:30 type of day, then you've got 8 hours during the course of your day. At most at community college, you've got 25 hours a week in class. At most in university, you got about 12. And you're expected to fill the rest of that quote unquote 40 hours with school or with homework or whatever, right? Stuff like that. So anyways, so I was like, well, instead of thinking about school 24/7, which I didn't want to do, I had other stuff because I was also doing school at night too, twice a week. I was like, I'm going to compartmentalize my school hours. I'm going to compartmentalize my nights, other than school nights, to stuff that I want to do. and everything will be fine. And so anyways, I started following that structure. Not only did she take me out to buy all the stuff, I sat down with her and basically body doubled off her. So that was the next thing. So I'm sitting there with an 18-year-old and all the girls in class, like, what are you doing? That's weird. All this stuff. And I was like, you can say whatever you want. I'm going to be the most organized person in the room by the end of the year. I guarantee it. And I'll probably have straight A's. And sure enough, by the time I was finished school, I was a 90s student and made the honor roll and all that jazz. So it's not like I suddenly became smarter overnight. I got organized. And then after I left school, Alana went on and did another, she went on to do child and youth at the Mount, and I went to start my business. And I tried to hang on to the structure for as long as possible, but it slowly started crumbling, right? So by 2016, I was in full-blown burnout mode because I overscheduled the heck out of myself. I was literally doing 40 clients a week. So 8:30 to 9:15, 9:30 to 10:15, all the way through the day. I do 40 a week, plus 2 hours of night school. Plus I was on a bunch of board of directors and a whack of stuff. I got a bunch of entrepreneurial stuff. I just overdid it, which every single one of us, and part of the reason I'm telling these stories is because I want you to think of some of the stories that you do, right? Or have done to try to get this, right? So anyways, so then I called Alana up and I was like, what are you doing when you're graduating? And she said she was going to work with some kids or whatever. I was like, screw that, come work for me. And she did. And so we've basically been running this together now since 2016. And I keep going all over the place. It gives me some ability to explore new markets and stuff and leave her kind of in the organizational role. But even for her, it was becoming overwhelming because she's my best coach. So then she became like, she can't keep up with all the executive function stuff either. And she also was got a late diagnosis of ADHD. And so basically, yeah, I just said, okay, it's time. We need to hire office manager. She'll offload all her stuff. I'll offload all my stuff so we can just focus on what we're doing better. And that's what we've just done. It took 11 years to get there, but that's a funny thing with business. Everybody's like, just go hire somebody. I'm like, where do you think I'm going to find the money to sit around? Like, I got to go make enough money to pay for to sit around, right? That's one thing with, I don't understand about the general public. They're just like, hire somebody. I'm like, sure, man. I'll just come up with the money out of nowhere. So anyways, I just wanted to show you the passion planner. See if I can find one that's not too, yeah. This is my little planner like this. I don't know if you can see it well or not, but I'll show you a digital version of it too. Passion plan is just like an old school agenda. So like I said, it goes from 6 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night. We schedule out, and all my coaches do this too. We schedule our sleep, when we're getting up, 3 meals a day, what our work schedule looks like, what our personal schedule looks like. And I make sure that once a week I do one chore a week, but I only have one thing on my to-do list. Anytime I get people coming to me with those massive to-do lists, I'm like, you're welcome to keep it, but go put it in a drawer somewhere and you'll never find it again. None of us need that stuff. That's just full-blown overwhelming, like make your head want to explode type thing, right? I can focus on one thing a week. I can do I got to do garbage and clean up for an hour a week with my amazing girlfriend, who is my executive functioning in the whole grand scheme of things, because she helps me out. So I'll show you just a quick other view of one of my dummy schedules that I've kind of written up. I say dummy because it's just for my work stuff, but I'll show you that. And then we'll kind of keep that floating on the screen. And then I want to hear from you guys as to what you do to keep yourself organized. So this is my my current schedule within reason. I actually, all the sales calls on Thursday because we got so busy. I coach all those days now and just do my sales on Mondays. Coach Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I run a group on Fridays, And then in the afternoon is really the only time I have to work on any of my stuff. So when people are like, well, I tried to call you and I couldn't get through, this is why, right? The only days I can take calls is on Mondays, and they're booking 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So that's kind of an overview of my basic productivity stuff. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. What do you use? And what's stayed effective for the long term? And if it has stayed effective, what's your magic secret? Mine is doing it body doubling. Like, we all sit down and schedule everything out every freaking week. And then I also do with all my coaches, or all my clients, right? So it's a consistent thing that we're looking at. What are your guys' claim to fame when it comes to productivity?
Hey, Keith.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I think an important part of my starting to achieve success was to schedule in time. I had a schedule full from morning to night. I had the time I take the bus. I had big blocks of time for homework, and I negated to put in like an hour, let's say, to listen to some music or do some meditation, but have my rest scheduled in.
Okay. And how's
Do you
that?
do that? Do you do that yourself?
For my personal time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely do. Well, currently, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be dead honest. Currently, with the stuff that I've got going with these 2 doctors that I'm collabing with, I'm working like 80-hour weeks right now.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But that's okay. That happens. You take it when you can, and then you crash and burn the rest of the time, right? But no, there's 2 days that I 100% take off. So you see the comedy night on Wednesday. I go to comedy night. I try to go every Wednesday. I used to be in this singing group called the Big Sing that unfortunately went under. Hopefully they're coming back.
Right.
Yeah, but that's one hard one that I'll never miss. And then on the weekends, I take weekends off. I need it for recouping. We may have every now and again like a Sunday night thing, whether we're running a group or we do one of these. But in general, yeah, I need the balance. But it's easy for me because, like, well, I say easy for me. I set up a whole business to work the same straight A student thing. This is exact same type of calendar that I would use with the students, right? So
Yeah.
It will work for somebody like me. It may not work for everybody else. It could work for you, Ken. You're a tutor, so you know.
Yeah, and another thing important to me is to arrange clients for tutoring at a time when I'm alert.
That's true too. Yeah.
And not at a time when I'm sort of feeling like I'm out of steam.
Yeah.
And that can be a tough guess sometimes, but being straightforward with them and suggesting that we do a change that benefits me as far as being alert, then that often pays off.
Okay. A couple of you guys were in on the sleep session. Do you see any sleep stuff green grain there? Right. I got my light right beside me here, and yeah, for those of you who missed on Friday, I will be recording it, but a really good session around sleep therapy. So yeah, I've got 2 of these things. I've got one in my upstairs office and one downstairs too, but yeah, but I'm the same. So I don't like working at 8:30. Like, I'm not home then. I am more now because back up until, well, my girlfriend works downtown now. We used to both work from home, and I literally roll out of bed at 20 after 8 and then pop into a meeting. So I wasn't at my best form, but now actually we just started this beach body thing. So we get up every morning at 5:30, work out, and then I got 2 hours to play around in the morning. So by the time 8 hits, I'm styling, right? That's another thing. Takes me 2 hours to wake up. So yeah. So when's your best time of the day, Ken?
I would say around 6. I kind of things kind of wane in the late afternoon, and then I get a little bounce back around 6 o'clock. About 5 o'clock, I have some supper and do some crunches and some sit-ups, and yeah, that keeps me going for another few hours.
Okay. Yeah, and you're primarily dealing with junior high and high school students, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Pitch your business, by the way. What's the name of your company?
Teacher Tutor Nova Scotia.
Cool. Just so you know, I'm making a directory. Currently, I just had this brilliant idea the other day. I'm going to make a directory for all the people that I've coached who have businesses or are about to have businesses, and are aligned, of course. I'm going to have a whole directory of everybody on my site that I can pass, and then we'll just start passing business back and forth, right?
Right on.
Yeah, that's coming. That's been on my to-do list for like 4 years. That one, but
Right.
Just figure it out. So yeah, cool. Anybody else have any thing they'd like to share or ask around accountability? I find printing things is very important, so I have a visual cue to prompt me to do something. Where do I get my best work done, and do you have a dedicated office space? I got a funny story about the office space stuff. So every couple of years, I think I need an office, and every time I book the office on day one, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. On day two, I feel like I'm sitting in jail, and unfortunately, they all come with leases. So the first office I had was at a local ADHD center. I won't name which one it is, but you can figure it out because there is only one of them. And I moved in there. The guy that signed with the owner of the business did up his contract in pencil. And when I was about to sign it or looking at the thing, I said, I don't feel comfortable signing it because nothing that I asked for was on the contract. And finally went in there, and he's a psychiatrist, and I was the non-clinical person sitting right across from him. He's like, so you need to be here on Mondays and Tuesdays when I'm here, because I'm going to do the diagnosis. I'm going to ship them right to you. And I was like, that is never going to work because you're clinical and I'm not clinical. So that'll never work in any situation. Long and the short was, the reason I did move in was to do, and I wanted to do support. I used to run support groups all the time for free. I just do them online now, but I wanted to have two TVs to project out with, and he said he'd do it, never did. So that one, I basically ripped up my stuff, and I basically packed up my office in the middle of the night and came back. The second office I had was shared office space. I mean, that was better. It was only 16 hours a month, but I still didn't really want to go down there. So you're asking again, clarify where do I get my work done in my home? Well, I do have a home office downstairs, which I will use. Like when my girlfriend was here, I would work downstairs and she worked upstairs, but there's a reason why I now work upstairs, because that's what I got to look at every day. So I'm slightly privileged. So I sit upstairs and I look at the lake every day. And about 6 months of the year, I go out for a swim during my lunchtime and do my thing. So no, I like being in the open, like wide open, like sit on the couch, do my coaching from there. I was just talking about getting a big lazy boy. That's be the next thing I purchase so I can chill out. But no, I'm on the phone honestly about 10 hours a day, every single day of the week. So either on the phone or Zoom or doing whatever. So I try to be comfortable. Yeah, coach on a couch. That's damn straight, man. I'm try to be chill, right? I'm not as I've been telling people before, I can dress up and put a collared shirt on, but why bother? I'm living my dream life. I work from home, make a kind of hard stop at 5:30 and do whatever I want to do from there. So yeah. I do recommend people do have some sort of a dedicated space, of course. it's nice to have your own spot, which I do. I got an amazing office downstairs. I just got a better view, which I'll take all day, every day. A better view than staring at a wall downstairs. So yeah, but I move around. I don't know. Some days I'm working here, some days upstairs. I'm buying an RV, so next summer I'll be working from the road just for something else to do. So why not, right? That's what you get to do when you work for yourself. Part of the reason you see a lot of white gaps in my schedule is because like you can't schedule every minute of every day. And the reality too is that, work, I don't know if you've read any work related stuff, but they say like on a regular work day, at best, you're likely to get about 30% productivity out of anybody. So you're on an 8-hour day, about 2.5 hours is actually going to be quote unquote productive. We have this delusional thought, and it's not delusional. It's rooted in our early years of development in thinking that we have to be productive all the time. And if we aren't, there's something wrong with us, right? We will have been told, don't do this, don't touch that. Why are you doing things this way, that way, sideways? Like 200,000 more times more than our neurotypical counterparts by the time we're 18. So then as we quote unquote adult, it follows with us, right? So we have this delusional sense that we have to be doing things every minute constantly without getting in the way. So with practice, so I don't pick up the phone. If somebody calls me during the day, and unless I know I have 45 minutes to dedicate, which you can see everything is in 45-minute increments for me. Unless I have 45 minutes to do, I'm not taking it. Even when somebody misses on a phone, or if I got a sales call coming in or whatever, I say, listen, you got 10 minutes to get back to me. If you don't get back to me within, by 1:45, I'm not taking the call, and you can book in 2 months, right? I'll try to get you back in if I can, but yeah, I've got I'm pretty rigid when it comes to that stuff. And the reason why is because all it does is impact the next thing that's coming down the line for me, right? So if I can't do it, I'm toast, right? So anyone else want to? Oh yeah. So here's a question. So has anybody else tried and been successful other than myself? But you keep in mind, I got to work at this every single week, right? Has anybody else successfully been able to manage a calendar for a long period of time, or any sort of schedule and routine? And I'm not talking for like a couple weeks, I'm talking about for years, and especially trying to do it by themselves. That's the $1 million question for you guys. My schedule's an anomaly. I set it up exactly like my dream schedule, and I have the ability to do that. I don't know anybody else does necessarily, right? I mean, Ken, you can figure it out because you're anybody who does any contracting can typically do that. It's still not completely ideal, even though. So one thing I left out of that, when I do shut my laptop, I do all my social media, and you guys have seen, those of you who see me float around, I do all of it. So that's usually my next trick. I'll eat dinner, and then for 7:30 till whatever 10-11 o'clock at night, depending on what I'm focused on for that week online, I'll be on there too, right? So also trying to delegate that, but that's a trickier one for me because I like having personal connections with all the people that I chat with. So the other thing too is just getting a watch. Any guys wear watches anymore? We all used to, right? And now if you do, it's all the digital watches, but they're more distraction than anything else. But the more you stare at time, the more you get to understand what time is. That's why I can do my 45-minute chunks, or like if I get up and do presentations, like I do a 3-hour one and a 5-hour one, I can do those perfectly right down to the T because I've done them a bunch of times and understand how time works. Like I just get the little spidey sense, right? I also know, especially for booking stuff like this, 12:30 onwards, no problem. 8:30 in the morning, not coherent, right? So I do more afternoon book stuff, or evening. I don't mind doing that, especially if I have a big break, then it's just like breaking up my night. Part of the reason why I've been able to do so many of these. Janet mentioned using the Fitbit. I just bought a Fitbit yesterday, but I'm going to take it back and get something different. It doesn't do enough fun stuff that I want, but anyways, but that's the thing. Yeah, the Fitbit's great, but you got to plug the damn thing in, right? My old analog watch. I wear it all the freaking time. I don't know where the heck it went, which is the story of all of our lives. But yeah. The more, or if you have a clock in your room, just something to think about. The other one that's really good is, if you are doing time blocking, is reflecting on how much time things took, because we don't have that ability in general, right? We have poor metacognition, which is your ability to reflect on past experiences and apply it to current situations. We're missing a big piece of that, as well as with our poor working memory isn't great either. And we usually just kind of live in the day to day, right? So if you live your life in day to day and just wing it through everything, you're basically just asking for future burnout is essentially it. It's going to come. It's just a matter of when, right? Because we're taking no active role in participating in our lives. There are ways around it that you don't have to pay. Form some like accountability buddies with each other on here, or use Focus Mate, which is a free body doubling thing. So if you have to do tasks you don't want to do, I'll put it in the chat. It's like you can do 3 of them a week for free. You basically pop on, you say, this is what I want to work on for the next hour. And at the end of the hour, you tell them what you did, right? It's simple. But it's also the reason why I am so good at scheduling is because I work on it with Alana, that same person from 11 years ago. It helped so much. I hired her back, and we do it every single week. We plan out our weeks every single week, and we talk about it on Monday. We talk about on Friday how it went. We plan our weekends together. We're like, make sure, hey, Kendra, I noticed you're kind of, buzzing out this week. Go out and get a walk in or whatever, right? So we're all holding each other accountable in the same mix of it all. So just a little bit of a wrap up here. So thanks for coming out for today.